Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is a lesson called Say It with Decimals. And the point of this lesson is to get you prepared for Unit 4.5. Alright, so as part of this unit, you're going to learn how to convert fractions to decimals. Now, hopefully by now you kind of know some of the commonly used fraction to decimal conversions. So for example, 1/4, if I was going to write that as a decimal, hopefully you know by now that 1/4 is 0.25 or 25 hundredths. Okay, 25 hundredths is the same thing as 1/4. 1/2 can be written as 5 tenths. 3/4 can be written as 75 hundredths. 1/10 can be written as 0.1 or 1/10. And then finally, 1/5 can be written as 2 tenths. So these 5 you definitely need to know. All right, so long division. So in order to convert a fraction to a decimal, you need to do a little bit of long division. All right, so let me first show you a little shortcut in how to do that. So the first thing you always want to do is you always want to estimate. All right, so 3/8. So the question is 3 out of 8. More or less than half. All right. So imagine you take, say, 8 basketball shots and you make 3. Did you make more or less than half? And the answer is less, right? Because 4 would be the middle and 3 is less than that. So this means that the decimal must be less than 0.5 or 1/2. So keep that in mind as we do the long division. It helps a little bit. So this is how you're going to set up your long division problem. So remember, 3/8 means 3 divided by 8. This bar, the division bar, really means divide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the division box. And again, we're dividing 3 by 8. So 3 goes inside the box. And I like to always write a few zeros. So 3.00. And by the way, this 3 is called the dividend. And then the 8 goes on the outside. All right, that's called the divisor. Now, the first thing you want to do is the decimal point here. You always want to bring that straight up. So just like this. So then what we got to say is, can 8 go into 3? And the answer is no, right? So we're going to put a 0 here. And then we're going to say, does 8 go into 30? And the answer is yes, it goes 3 times, right? So 3 times 8 is 24. Notice how I line up the 24 right under the 3.0. And then you subtract. So 30 take away 24 is 6. And then you bring down this 0. You bring that down all the way down like this. So then you say, can 8 go into 60? And the answer is yes, because I know 8 times 7 is 56. So 56 goes here. And again, you do the same thing. Subtract. And 60 take away 56 is 4. And you're allowed to add as many zeros as you want to. Okay, you really have unlimited zeros. So I'm going to bring down the next 0. Now this makes it 40. And then 8 goes into 40 5 times. And 5 times 8 is 40. And here's a key part of this conversion. Notice that the remainder is now 0. Okay? Once that happens, you're done. Because there's nothing else to do. So the decimal would be 375 thousandths. That's the proper way of saying it. And 3/8 is a terminating decimal because there's a remainder of 0. So anytime you get down to this, where this happens, right, you know it's going to be a terminating decimal. All right, let's do one more together. So this time we're going to convert the fraction 8/11ths in the decimal form. All right, so just like we did before, what we're going to say is 8 out of 11 more or less than half. And again, going back to the basketball example, okay, if I make 8 out of 11 shots, I'm doing pretty good. That's definitely more than half, right? Because half of 11 is 5.5. So this means that the decimal must be more than a half. or more than 0.5. So again, we want to keep that in the back of our mind as we do the long division. All right, so let's set this up. So again, I'm going to create the division box. And remember, what this means is 8 divided by 11, right? So that means the 8 goes in the inside. I'm going to add a bunch of zeros. We'll start with, say, I don't know, 4 zeros. And the 11 goes on the outside, like this. And then I'm going to bring up the decimal. And now we're going to say, does 8 go into, excuse me, does 11 go into 8? And the answer is no. And then does 11 go into 80? And the answer is yes, 7 times. And then 7 times 11 is 77. And then subtract. And we got a 3 and a 0. And then can 11 go into 30? And the answer is yes, it goes in twice, right? So 2. And then 2 times 11 is 22. And then 30 take away 22 is 8. And then bring down another 0. And oh, wait, this is kind of similar to what we did before, right? 11 goes into 80 7 times. 7 times 11 is 77. Subtract that again. And we get 3, bring down another 0. And 11 goes into 30 twice. And 2 times 11 is 22. And we have an 8. Bring down a 0. So hopefully you're seeing right now that we have a pattern developing, right? It's the same thing happening again and again and again. So when we convert 8 elevenths into a decimal, okay, it's actually called a repeating decimal because the first 2 digits, the 7 and the 2, keep repeating. So the way we write this is 8 elevenths would be equivalent to 0.72. But it's not just that. What we have to do is because both the 7 and 2 are repeating, you have to put a solid line above the 7 and 2, just like that. All right? So, again, because that repeats, all right, 8 elevenths is a repeating decimal because the division will never result with a remainder of 0. So, again, if you go back to this problem, okay, when we did all the subtractions, we never got 0, okay, when we subtracted. Where when we had this problem, 3/8, we did get a 0. So that's what made it terminate. All right, hopefully this was helpful, and good luck.